Good morning, everybody. This is Kathy Mason from Mason Works Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone. Today with Chris Batts. Hi, Chris.
Hi,
How are
Kathy.
you?
Doing good.
Are
How are you?
good. I'm so glad to meet you. I'm sorry I didn't meet you last year in Philadelphia at the IANDS conference. I was there, you were there, but I didn't connect. Sorry about that, but they did have me working.
Same here.
Yes, yeah. Those IANDS conferences are so much fun because you meet so many people that are in their heart, and they really they kind of speak the same language. So I wish
Yeah.
I would have connected with you. So Chris, your story. We're not going to go real deep into it today, but what I wanted to ask you about was your passion after your near-death experience to help others with suicide and to understand the afterlife. Could you talk a little bit about that for us, please?
Yeah. So I always, since I was a little kid, had suicidal thoughts because of the situation that I was in. And I actually had a near-death experience due to a suicide attempt years later. So during this suicide attempt, or should I say during this near-death experience, I actually learned that we are loved. And I didn't know that. So before my near death experience, because when I was a kid, I was always under the impression that if you commit suicide, that means you're going to burn in hell for
Yeah.
eternity by this angry, like God, like, "Grr, I'm going to kill you, you know? And that's what I thought. But at this point, when I actually attempted the suicide, I didn't care because my thing was like, hey, anything can be better than this life here. But
Right, right.
but during my near death experiences, I met my guardian angels and I felt God's love and I felt all my imperfections that I ever had. And I'm like, no, wait, let me go get perfect. I'll be back. I'm not perfect right now. I gotta go back to Earth real quick. Let me do some things. I'll come right back. But I had learned during my near death experience that I was loved either way. And even being a suicidal person, my angels were more compassionate to me than anything. Like instead of judging me of being a suicidal person, saying that a suicide is the ultimate sin, the unforgivable sin, they're there telling me like, hey, no, it's gonna be okay. We love you. You're loved. So after this experience, it just after I woke up days later in the hospital and you know, like months later as I'm what do you call it? Not recuperating, but I don't know the right word. Like recovering. I'm
Right,
thinking
right.
I'm starting to learn that hey, so that means that if I was suicidal and I wasn't judged, you mean to tell me that anybody who's suicidal is not judged? Like that's amazing. Like we're all loved. That's beautiful. So that made my mission right there to want to go tell everybody in the world that's suicidal, God loves you either way. Like you're loved, you know?
So when you did you go through life review?
No, this is the thing. The reason, and I'm gonna clarify this. The reason why I did not have a life review was because while I'm in the sky, there's this cloud, and it's like this big donut hole. If I were to have crossed over that, then I would have seen the life review, and then I would have probably went through a lot of the stuff that most near death experiencers experience. But at
So
this time,
you went to the beginning part, basically. I mean, that's what's so fascinating about learning about this is that there's almost different phases of the near death or the death experience, right? And so you went, but you did still connect with your angels and guides who would have taken you if you had. Did you have a choice to go up in the donut?
I did, I did,
Oh,
I did.
okay. Okay, so
Actually, they asked me. They were like honestly, do you want to stay or go? That's literally the words I heard. Do you want to stay or go? And I'm like, Okay, so they left it up to me. Had I wanted to, I would have free choice. I would have been able to just cross that donut hole. But I think my angels were trying to maybe convince me not to just yet, because who knows?
Okay.
They know your personality. So they probably knew if I would have crossed over, I would have said, I'm not going back there. Yeah.
This paradise.
I'm not going
Why
back
would
there.
I go
Yeah.
back?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, did you heal super fast after having that experience also? Because a lot of near-death experiencers, and I don't know, again, which phase they are, but if you listen to like Anita Moorjani's story, she was 90 pounds, stage 4 cancer. They'd given her last rites. She goes up, makes I guess a peace with her father, comes back, and it's like a miracle of her healing. I mean,
Wow.
super speed, like miracles. And
Yeah.
I've heard that many times, that if people got a choice, or I don't know if did that happen with you? Did you heal super fast?
I healed faster than I expected, but it wasn't as fast as most experiencers. Um,
Oh, okay.
my thing was after my experience. After my experience, I it took months for me to heal. Months. Well, physically, like all the scars and all the like the trauma and everything, like all the head trauma and everything like that. That took months and months to to get my speech back, to get my balance
Wow.
back, where I can walk like on balance again, and where I could get my smell and my taste back. It took months to get that stuff back. But I felt like the day I was wheelchaired out of the hospital was the day I was spiritually healed.
That's so cool. So almost like reborn, almost, huh?
Oh yeah, definitely being. I'm gonna basically give a little like a little token, a little coin or whatever you call it.
Okay.
This was about a couple months after my experience. I never went back to the doctor, so I was mainly focused on self healing. And one of these days, I got out of the hospital. And, when I was out of the hospital, I was at home. I got out of the shower one day, and like I said, my balance was still kind of like same thing with my speech and everything else. So the thing when you say being reborn, that's literally what happened, because the same angels that I met on the other side were there with me then, and they
Are
never
they
left.
on each side of you now?
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah,
oh
I can
they've
see him.
never left. They never
Yeah,
left.
I can see him. Yeah. So, but do you feel like you have more than two, or two big? You have big ones,
Big
but
one.
do you have? Yeah. Do you have more than two?
The thing is, I don't know. I've been thinking about that the past couple years, because really I've been more focused on the two that I know. And then I'm thinking, I'm like, well, during my near death experience, there were a few like in a circle, but it was just those
Yep.
two that there was just those two that I just concentrated on. Like they seemed so familiar to me. I focused on
Yeah, they're bigger. I think they're bigger. That's why you say, yeah, that is super cool. So do you commune with them? I mean, how do you just sense their presence?
I feel their presence, and I hear them and I feel them. And some people say,
Oh,
well, what do you mean? Like, how do you communicate with angels? Like, if they're not here in person, like, it's like, okay. So
yeah,
I explain it like this. You hear with your head, like with your mind, and you feel them with your heart. So,
exactly.
so when they say things, the emotion that they say it in, you feel it in your heart. But then what they're saying, you hear it tel- telepathically.
Perfect. Yep,
Yeah.
yep, I get it. Me too. Me too. And I didn't have a near-death experience. So I had spiritually transformative experiences. So but I've known that since I was 8 years old.
Well, it's like
So
I say a lot. You don't really have to have a near death experience to
Goodness.
feel to feel things. I mean, some people have spiritually transformative experience, out of body experiences. I have friends that get so much insight from spirit world, and they've never had a near death experience.
Right,
Yeah.
right. That's perfect. Well, and that I think is a big part of the realization I'm hoping people will get with this conversation is that they're not alone, that they truly are loved, and that the self-talk that we picked up somehow can leave now. So when you talk to people, because you do a lot of public speaking, right?
Yeah, a lot.
So, so what are most of your talks like? Do you usually tell your story, which we're not telling here because you're telling it at IANDS
Right.
on August 14th through the 16th is the IANDS thing. But anyway, what's your usually what you talk about, and what kind of groups do you talk to?
Well, I talk to a lot of people in the groups are more into near death experiences. So I may break down my experience and then explain to them, hey, don't worry, God loves you. There is life after here. This is just the beginning and all of that. But then you might have a certain group there or a certain group somewhere else I'm speaking where they want to know about suicide prevention. So I talk
Right.
about suicide prevention because if anybody knows about suicide, is this guy right here. Like, so I tell like who better for it to come from than someone who actually did it. So
Right.
with me actually doing it and coming out of the experience, I'm in a great position to talk to suicidals because I know the mind of a suicidal person and what they think. And I basically try to encourage them to tell them, I used to think just like you did. And it's like, look at all the happiness I have now. Like, I don't really condone going out there to kill yourself to find out a near death experience. But you know what I mean? Like, I'm not condoning that.
Yeah, you're not recommending it. It's painful.
Yeah, but my thing is, take it from me, someone who actually did do it, hang on a little bit longer. There's much more for you to see.
Ah,
Yeah.
so do you find that with COVID, with what we're going through with the lockdown, I've been concerned about how this affects the kids. I mean, a lot of the high school kids and college kids, this is their big time to be social and create. These are your memories for your whole life, and they're missing so much of it because of the lockdown. I've been worried about suicide, and the depression that has come from all of this. Have you seen anything more with that?
I haven't seen it personally, but I've heard of things happening.
Okay.
Especially there's a lot of kids now during the COVID who live in abusive homes
Oh, geez.
and
Yeah.
they can't go to school because the schools are closed. So their way of getting out of school, their way of getting out of that home and getting some freedom and getting out of that abuse is going to school, which it completely sucks for them because I was in that situation as a child. School was my,
Right.
school was my escape from abuse. So these kids don't have that escape, so they're just constantly abused, and I'm sure a
Wow.
lot of them think about suicidal thoughts. They want to they'd rather just leave.
So is there anything you could suggest to help them?
God, I I can honestly tell them you're loved. Just always try to be positive. This is gonna be over eventually. Um,
I'll give them hope. I
some
hope
type of
that
hope.
there's
Yeah, there's
better.
some hope.
Yeah.
It's gonna be over soon. You're gonna get older, and you're gonna be so glad that you're out of this hellhole that you're in.
Right. So do you feel that, and I don't know, it's a leading question. I'll just tell you already. you feel that that these things that happen to us are part of our soul journey? Like that your experience that you had before you came into this physical life, you chose those parents, that the whole setup, so that you would have the near death experience, and then you would have this life. Do you think that it's not predestined, but it's part of your soul journey?
I do. I actually do believe that. Sometimes I think, why did I choose this? But
Right.
it's funny because it's all, we come here to learn. We come here to experience and maybe get better, like as a person, maybe do things in previous lives that we didn't do before, or become better people. Like from experience, I used to have this, well, still to this day, I have this reoccurring dream where,
Mm.
yeah, and it gives me a vision of a couple past lives that I've had. And I do know, and I've had this dream ever since I was like 5 years old. So in these past lives, I was a complete butthole. I was a horrible person. One of them, I was rich. One of them, I was a rich man that was just, he didn't care about anyone, his family. He didn't care about God. He didn't care about anybody. I just cared about me. But then I also had another past life where I was poor, very poor. I didn't even have sandals. I was very poor. But still, I didn't care about my family. I didn't care about God. I didn't care about anybody. I just cared about me. So it was like the same thing in common in both of these lives. So then all of a sudden,
Wow.
so then all of a sudden, and I've had family that love me. So then in both of those lives, so then I come back in this life, completely different, like, blows your mind of like why I would choose something like this. The horrible family, childhood abuse, the horrible friends I had, all these people that I care about that didn't care about me. I didn't understand.
Right.
But as I think about it, it makes so much sense and why I came here to experience all the stuff that I experienced.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you feel like now some people say that all lives are happening all at the same time, but we perceive them as past lives or present, but your essence is in all of those timelines all at the same time. Do you believe that, or do you feel like it really was like reincarnation, reincarnation, reincarnation?
I really do feel like it was reincarnation because I feel like after you live a life and then you die and then you go back home, you go and negotiate with your counsel. Or I've heard in many experiences they've met the counsel and they show them what they've been through in their life. They say, okay, this is experiences of what happened in your life. So now, do you want to go back and live another life, or do you want to just stay here? Another reason is
Right.
because people have past life. I mean, no, not past life, but life reviews. So
Right.
they see all these different lives that they lived, and even the names that they had in these lives. So I feel like it could be reincarnation. I don't think it could all happen at the same time.
Well, yeah, I don't. It's hard to get your head around that concept anyway. I mean, it's like quantum, right?
Mhm.
So it's so multidimensional. It's almost unfathomable.
Yeah.
So, so, do you could you talk a little bit more about angels, or what you've learned about angels after you had the experience? Because it sounded like you're pretty shocked
Yeah.
that you had your own guardian angels that were there. I tell people all the time that your angels are sitting there um, twiddling their thumbs because you're not calling on them. They can't interfere unless you ask, right?
Yes. Yes. I talk about this a lot because people say
Okay,
they
good.
think it's so easy to say, how can I communicate with angels? I try and they're not talking to me. I'm like, I asked them, like, do you believe in angels first of all? Like, I mean, angels can't interfere unless you give them permission. imagine they've been here with me all these years, and I didn't know it. But the thing was, I didn't believe in them. So they're not just gonna
Right.
come and just, okay, I'm interfering in your life. Like angels don't work like that. They love you too much. They care about you. They don't judge you. That's one thing about angels. They don't judge you, and they are full of light. So much light. Like I said, like on one of my angels on my left hand side, there was so much light I couldn't even see his like all of his face because I looked this way and it was like so much light. I had to like look away.
Will you tell us? I know you don't want to tell your story, but will you tell us about your two angels? Because one was wearing regular clothes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So
Can you tell us?
yeah, so the one so okay, I've had a bunch of angels around me, but like I said, I didn't pay attention to them. I only paid attention to one on my right, one on my left. So the one on my left I seen first. His wings were more wide, and his face, like I said, has so much light. It looked like more of like a beetle type of face. And then I was so much light, I looked away, and then I looked over to my right side. Now this angel was more human than anything. He looked like a really huge, buff construction worker with wings. With
Yeah.
wings, like that was the only thing. He just had wings, and his wings, instead of being more wide, they were more tall. And yeah, he had curly brown hair. Um, he had a red flannel shirt, sleeves rolled up to the elbow, and you could see his muscles. Just like I'm like, whoa, this dude is huge. Like I'm like, how much are the gym memberships? Like I need to go back. But then he had on
Would they even? Okay, so keep going. I'm
no, I
sorry.
was just gonna say he had on blue jeans and sandals. That was it.
So, well, yeah, I don't. I not all angels have been human. So some have been, I think, human at one point. But that's interesting that this guy was a Arnie Schwarzenegger kind of
Have you ever seen the show?
Mr. Atlas.
Have you ever seen the show Roseanne?
Not really. No,
Okay, well,
I don't watch.
the only person that this angel could get a description of is Dan Connor, the
Oh,
husband,
okay, I'll go
the
check it out.
husband on the show. Just that's the perfect description with wings. With wings.
Wow. So when you started to experience that love, so you broke your heart open, right? I mean, your heart was closed and hurt, and you probably had shields all over it. And then you have this experience, and you wake up to I'm pure love. I'm loved. I'm not judged. I was judging myself because of what I've been, the way I was brought up, and all the things that happened to me. But that was self-talk. That wasn't what's real,
Right.
right? So could you talk a little bit more about that? Because I think that would help so many people. We're in this phase right now where we can release all of that negative self-talk, and we have more time with this lockdown where people can work on themselves than they did when it was go, 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 always on your
Mhm.
device, this pause. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Okay, so I felt pretty much like worthless, you could say. And I didn't really think I was in any position to be around angels anyway. So like I said, I didn't
Wow.
believe in them, and I've always had a bad interpretation of them. They're gonna come, they're gonna kill you, they're gonna make you burn for eternity. That's
Oh,
all.
because you're doing the religion thing that your parents told you about.
Yeah, it's like when
Ah,
you don't. All I seen was like I remember during the experience, one of the first things I seen is and I know it was my thoughts following me. There was a bunch of Bibles just being thrown around everywhere, like and crosses being thrown around because I was from a religion where if you don't read the King James Version Bible, then that means you're gonna burn in hell. Like that's basically how they teach you. So
no fear or anything. Oh my gosh.
yeah, yeah, no fear,
Yeah.
so Yeah, being around
Wow.
being around these angels, I'm like, wait, knowing that they showed themselves to me, that's when I kind of learned that, oh, okay, I am accepted. I didn't know this, but I am accepted. And when they like, I knew that they loved everybody, and I knew that we were all
Uh-huh.
loved when they were telling me it's gonna be okay. Knowing what I just did, I just committed suicide, and you're here telling me, don't worry, it's okay, you're gonna be okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So I think we sort of talked about this, but wanted to go deeper about how you help other people believe in angels. I mean, I somehow always have, but and been fascinated with them. I've got lots of books on it, and I've always thought that there's unseen, that that our senses feel, but we can't see. So is there any way that you help people connect with their angels?
I actually tell them to look for themselves, look for signs. But one of the most important things I tell people is to stay open. You have to open yourself, and you have to look for signs. Because a majority of the time, if you ask for a sign from God, from angel, I say God source because so many people have different names for God source. So I
Yeah,
say ask
yeah.
for a sign from God, ask for a sign from angels. Most of the time, you're gonna get a response back. Some type of sign. It might be through music, you might be listening to. It might be through like a commercial. It could be through a TV show. It can be just a voice. It could be any type of thing. But you're gonna get a message, especially when you want to hear from them.
Oh, that's great. So, but it's like, if like right now in your life, if you were needing a new car, would you ask the angels to help you to get a new car, or do you do that? Or I mean, how do you work with them?
Okay,
It's not a dumb question. I'm
no,
sorry. I
it's not
don't.
a dumb question because I hear this question so much. Like, I was looking for this car, this house by Friday afternoon. I want like $1 million in from my angels. It's like, yo, like relax, you know. um, they what they can do is they can help you get on the track to get your new car. You know what I mean? Like they might give you ideas. Something might come through, like a job opportunity might come through that you can pick up, that you can help get what you need to get as far as materialistic things. Like because we do need materialistic stuff too, but they're more like if you need to know something spiritual and you need some spiritual type of guidance, they're not going to hesitate. If you need some materialistic type of stuff, they understand you need it in the right time. They might help you, try to give you the idea to oh, well, this is a good idea, let me go here, this is a great job opportunity, I can do this, I can save this amount of money, let me save this amount of money this month. Like they might actually help you with ideas, but they're not just going to necessarily just you walk outside and then you see a brand new car out there by Friday, like with $1 million in it. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think again, the thing that I just heard you say that I think is a real important part of our conversation is the spiritual growth. That this I think the evolution of humanity is dependent upon us focusing on the spiritual growth of love and kindness, not just the material things.
Right. Right. They'll help with certain material things. Don't get me wrong, because we need them, but at the same time, it's our spiritual side. Our spirituality is more at risk than everything. That's where they feel like they're at rush because so many people are going through spiritual transformations right now. Some people have spiritual questions right now, and that's like the perfect time for all these angels to. And then at the same time, while these people are finding their spirituality, there's the evil ones that don't want you to find their spirituality. So then here you have your good angels fighting with the bad angels, which they call that spiritual warfare.
Right. And that's it. I've heard this past, I don't know how long it's been, probably a couple months, that that's really escalating right now. And it's more important now than ever to work on our spirituality, where we're really working on ourselves, clearing these toxic thoughts and self-sabotaging behaviors, so that we can hold more light and love.
Right.
So Elsie asked us a question. Hi, El. Elsie asked a question. Curious to know if Chris meditates, spends time in nature. What does he do for centering? Thanks, Els.
Every morning and a lot of times throughout the day, but especially the morning. That's my most important time to meditate. Um, I
Me
love
too.
meditating, and I actually have I meditate at home, but I also meditate when I'm not home. Like, I have certain parks that I like to go to because of the nature, because like of the trees and the grass and all types of stuff around it. And I feel so at home when I meditate there. But yeah, I do meditate every day.
Do you feel energy now that you didn't? I mean, yeah, I know your heart busted wide open, but do you feel when you go to the park, do you feel the trees and the energy around you, or it's more a platform for connection?
I feel like it's more of the nature sending me love, if that makes any sense. Like, I feel a lot of love from,
Yeah,
especially like if there's like a lake or something like that around, or a really grassy area with trees, and I just feel so at peace.
that's beautiful. So there's a lot of people saying we're the the contrast that we're in right now, where you say good and evil and it's spiritual warfare, is partially because our solar system is in a different place in the universe. It's actually moved. That's the age of Aquarius and everything, and we're being bombarded with more photonic light from the sun than we've ever had before in recorded history. And a lot of times the Schumann resonance, which is the electromagnetic field around the Earth, it's going off the charts. They don't even have a way to gauge how high it is because it's changing. Do you feel all of that now that you're sensitive? Do you feel, I mean, even past 2 weeks, have you felt energies that
The energies I really feel are the strongest is what a lot of the near death experiences and spiritually transformative experiencers talk about, which are the shift, what they call a shift change. It's so many people right now, especially during like a time like this. People have so much time at home, and they have so much time to concentrate on their spirituality, and a lot of people have so many questions, and it's a battle because like you said, like between good and evil, and a lot of people are really in search for spirituality, which I truly feel like sometime in the future the whole world is going to be focused on that.
Yeah. Well, this strange COVID virus is like having World War III with an invisible enemy, and it affects everyone the same way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you were going to orchestrate a way to evolve humanity, this is kind of a brilliant, strange but brilliant way to have everybody have the same experience and be able to process it in their own way, right?
Right.
Yeah. So Elsie said, nature sending love. Isn't that perfect? And the lake, she said we're soulmates. She loved what you said. That's great. So how do you see your you wrote a book. Let's talk about your book a little bit for now. I haven't gotten to read it yet, but I know did Katie help you
Katie
with the book?
is my angel. I'm telling you. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Katie Louise is out. She's on Facebook. And what, how would you like to talk about your book? I mean, that was so cool the way she helped you write it, a very unique way.
Yeah, so I have no idea about a book. She just knew my experience, and she's always had this certain love for me that she's like, "No, we have to make this into something. You have a beautiful story that can help people." And I would say, "Katie, like, come on, don't give me the jive." You know what I mean? And just one day she's all like, she said, "I need you to just write," because I got to the point where I was making videos for my YouTube channel, which I still do, because a lot of the things
Uh-huh.
that angels tell me, I put into a video. If I didn't tell this stuff in a video, I would lose my mind because all this stuff is just downloading 24/7 in your head.
Perfect.
So
Perfect.
Katie said your videos are great, but I think you should write it down too. It's always good to have something in writing. So I'm like, you know what, Katie, I love you, but I don't know the first thing about a book, and I'm like, I don't even read like that anymore. And then she said, no, honestly, just write from when you were 6 months old, how you told me what happened, all the way till now. Just start writing and writing. And she said, after every day you write something, send it to me. So I would. So usually I would write something and send it to her. And little do you know, we have chapters like after months later. And I'm like, wait, we have chapters now, Katie? Like, yeah. So I was basically bragging to everybody. I'm like, guess what? I have chapters. Like, I have chapters. And yeah, Katie, she broke them down in the right sections. She put certain chapters where they needed to go. And she said, okay, well, when you wrote this, I'm going to put this here. Okay, when you wrote this, I'm going to save this for the end. Oh, thanks for telling me this. When you wrote this, I'm going to put this here. It's perfect. She organized it so beautifully. And then,
Yeah. Do you want to show it,
yeah, sure.
please? Okay. And then the title is Boom. Can you
It's
read it
Boom.
for me? The life.
Oh, it's Boom,
Yeah.
the life and times of a suicide near-death experiencer.
There we go. And the picture that's on the front, what is the picture?
The picture on the front,
Is that,
that's the exact area that I had my near-death experience.
oh my
This
gosh,
this is
wow.
where I was with my angels. And then as I looked down on the
Oh,
ground, that's where the paramedics were over my body. And that's where I was down
wow.
looking there. So this is the exact spot where it happened.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
so perfect.
Yeah.
That's so perfect. So, wow, thank
Yeah.
you. So your book, did you feel that it changed something for you? What, because your angels obviously helped you write that book. Because that's part of your mission. Being a published author is like having a PhD. It's a badge of courage, I think.
Hmm.
And so also for your speaking, having that book really probably helps you a lot. Can you tell a little bit about? I mean, did you get people coming up to you saying I had similar experiences after the book or after your speeches?
People tell me that they lost loved ones to suicide. And a lot of people tell me that they've committed suicide themselves and have had certain experiences, but they weren't brave enough to come out and talk about it. Yeah,
Wow.
I hear that a lot. I hear
Wow.
people worry about losing their loved ones to suicide and they're scared that they're burning in hell. But then they either read my book or they heard me speak or seen my YouTube videos even, and then they'll say, "Oh, I have such a different opinion about this stuff now," or they see God in a certain
That,
way now, in a good way now.
so do you feel that do you see yourself like having Sunday meetings or anything like that where you could be on Zoom on digital like this where you could have Q&A and help people? I mean, do you do coaching a little bit, Chris?
Not yet, but I've been thinking about that. Like, see, right now, Kathy, you caught me in my transformation stage. Like, right now, I speak out a lot. I do, but I'm in the transition of discovering on how to maybe conduct my own type of coaching or something like that. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, we can talk about that sometime if you want. Be happy to help guide you. That's what I do. But the thing is, the reason why I'm asking is that it feels like the book will reach people, the YouTubes will reach people, but a lot of people are so private. There's a lot of shame. There's a lot of shame. There's a lot of parents still suffering after their child, whether it was suicide or a car accident. I mean, just losing a child, just the whole shock of that you could probably comfort. Your story would comfort them a lot.
yeah. That's why I'm glad I have the book, because that's a way to reach out to certain people that don't want to say things about what they're going through. And same thing with the YouTube videos. That's why, like, whoever comes across it, they can just see it and they don't have to say anything to anyone. They can just watch the video, like, which people like to read. So I have.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but is your YouTube channel your name?
No, it's actually
What is?
No Bad Vibes space 7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's NOBADVIBES and then a space and then the number 7. So No Bad Vibes 7.
Okay. I'll put it in the information for people to find you after this. Thank you. Yeah, because you had told me you had a YouTube channel, but I didn't get to see it. But I did see your other interview, which was fascinating. So now that you reach a lot of people through doing speaking gigs, and most speaking gigs are online now.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So are you still pretty busy?
Yeah, still pretty busy. Because most of the places I was supposed to go outside of, like, out of state are now online because of COVID. So, I mean, I would have loved to go to these places, but
Yeah. Well, it's okay. It's still, you know what? I think this whole, if we had COVID 5 years ago, we would not be doing as well evolving everyone as we are now, because Zoom, I was a beta tester for Zoom 4 or 5 years ago, but it was in beta. And now you can do so much cool stuff online. And your message, for anyone who speaks English, and you got the whole world, and if it's recorded, they can watch it in their time zone. Right? It's so cool. It's amazing.
Right.
Do you get any input about the statistics for suicide? Is it worse in the U.S. than in other English-speaking countries, or have you heard anything about that? And is it mostly younger kids, mostly high school kids, or is it any age?
I know there was a certain percent. I know Katie had found information from my book, and she knows exactly, like, what the percentage was. But from what I do remember, it was most younger people.
So high school.
That's
It's so sad. Wow, that they just can't handle the stress.
Right, and lucky for me, that was the only time I didn't really have suicidal thoughts, was high school. That's the only time. So,
wow. Yeah. Wow. Well, no, I'm just wondering if, again, if the U.S. is a higher percentage than other countries, and a lot of the now this is my guess. It's not truth. It's just discussing is I think that the way television is and how violent television is, and it's almost like a virtual reality, that you don't really get how precious life is. There's so much killing and violence and everything. Do you feel that that's part of the reason why people are suicidal?
Or it could just be their own personal problems, their personal lives. A lot of people go through things, and it's so bad that they, like I say, abuse. That's one thing that really triggers a suicide is abuse.
Right, right. Says, what's he say? Why does Chris think he had suicidal thoughts? That's the whole program here. Uh-oh. That's a big question.
Because I know why I had suicidal thoughts. Not really thinking, but I know because of the abuse that I suffered as a child and so young, and the simple fact that I felt like I wasn't loved, and I didn't really have anybody to watch or a book to read or something like that to convince me that I am loved. And the people that and the people that raised me definitely didn't encourage me to that say that I was loved at all. So that was the biggest reason that I was.
Well, I want to tell Noelle bought a ticket to our IANDS conference. So Noelle and Bob, when you go to the virtual conference at IANDS.org, and Noelle already has a ticket, you'll be able to hear Chris's full story. We're trying to give you little pieces of insight without him telling the whole story. So he has something to talk about for the IANDS conference. But basically what's happened is when people don't have any hope, when they don't feel nurtured or supported in any way, and they don't have anywhere to turn, suicide becomes an option. But I think you have to be very brave to even consider that. I mean, I don't know about your perspective. I'm not brave enough to have ever thought of doing it.
I didn't think it had anything to do with bravery. I just was like, I'm out of here, man.
This gotta do something. Okay, looking forward to it, she says. Thank you. Thank you. Well, Chris, what day are you and where are you? What program are you on the IANDS conference? Can you talk a little bit about what you're doing?
I am on a panel. I'm on the 15th, August 15th at 4:00. The name of the panel, I do not have it written down. This question caught me off guard. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Okay, you want me to go look?
Yeah, please do.
Okay, it's 4:00. Do you know what room you're in?
I just know it's at 4:00 on the 15th. You caught me off guard. I'm ashamed right now.
Sorry.
I'm ashamed right now.
I wasn't trying to be mean here. Whoops, not speakers. Whoops. Schedule. Okay, day 2 and 4:00. It says suicide detoured by NDEs and spiritually transformative experiences. And you're on a panel with Yolaine Scout, Chris Batts, and Angie Fenimore.
Okay, there you go.
This conference is just amazing how fantastic you guys are. The speakers and the stories and the love that is shared. It is just, feel so blessed to be a volunteer and a member of IANDS to be part of this and meet all you guys. It's been life-changing for me because I want to be around more people that live from that love. I think, that's we get to choose to do that, right?
Yeah, I'm excited to be a part of it. Yeah.
Well, for people that don't know about the IANDS conference, it's August 14th and 14th through the 16th. The 14th is a short day. It's, I think, afternoon on. And then 15th is jam-packed with 4 different rooms. So it's 4 different Zoom rooms. And then the 15th also, or excuse me, 16th also. The 15th, these 4 rooms are all going to be recorded. So if you buy a ticket and you can't decide which one to go to, because in the physical one you could never decide which one to go to. There were so many cool things tracks going on at the same time. This is even better because it's all recorded and you have 90 days to watch all the recordings. So if you missed one, I mean, you have to pick one, right? So you pick one, but or you have to go do something during the day and you come back, you don't miss anything.
Right.
So when you do this, what is your biggest aha with being in group with these other near-death experiencers?
I feel excited because I get to be around family. That's how I feel. Like I get to be around people who want to hear the experiences, and then I also get to be a part of the people that are telling their experience. So I get to hear people's experiences, and I'm like, oh, like, oh, you know, and then they get to hear my experiences, and it's like everybody's showing so much love to each other. It's like a family reunion, and that's how I've always felt every time I've spoken at IANDS. It's a family reunion. It's something that you can be instantly high off of for months at a time. Like just by going to these conferences, like that feeling that you had from all these souls, all these beautiful souls. It's amazing.
Well, the thing that I've found is really amazing is not only are all of the presentations fantastic, the other part of it that I love is the experiencer lounges, where people that may have just had an experience or they're now finally ready to talk about their experience because they couldn't disclose it before, they can come to a room. Now it's going to be a virtual room, but there was a physical room in every one of the other ones I've been at, where people could confidentially talk with among each other and get support, because you feel crazy. Some of the stuff that happens, it's so out of context with your regular reality. I mean, you saying, I have these 2 really cool big angels and you would have thought you were crazy if you wouldn't feel supported to express that, right? Yeah, so I mean, everyone was eager to hear, listen, and support. The other thing that I really like about all this is the research. I went to Wikipedia, and IANDS started in 1984, and they've been doing research on near-death experiences since then.
Yeah, I didn't know it was that long.
It's not just, yeah, no, that's what's amazing is that there's been a category called near-death experience that long, but the general public doesn't know. Well, I think they do now because of Anita Moorjani and your books. All the people that are coming out the past 10 years, probably.
Yes, it's being more known now. Yeah.
So, but the spiritual transformative experiences don't require that you have body injury.
Right.
You can switch on a dime.
Right.
So, Chris, thank you so much. What else would you like to leave us with? I would love to make sure that, I mean, everyone, so you notice, Chris doesn't have his regular last name on his Facebook account. It's Chris NDE. So you have to find him.
Well, I mean, if anybody wants to find me, I mean, just go to Google and type in Chris Batts. You'll find me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I want to make sure they can, because I think that you could help so many people. And if parents have a child that's suicidal and they're scared to even leave the house or leave them alone, I mean, I have a coaching friend that told me that he overheard his son telling his best friend he was going to do it tonight.
Oh,
And they called the police and arrested him.
wow.
And they put him in jail so that he couldn't commit suicide.
Wow.
But I mean, yeah, but I mean, that's what I'm saying. These are hard times. These are hard times. What do people do? What do parents
Yeah.
do? And if they could connect the child with you,
Yeah.
that could be a big difference.
And I get a lot of messages like that too. I tell people, and they say, I'm sorry to write you. Well, they write me on Facebook or whatever. I'm sorry to write you. I say, ask me anything you want, like ever, because it's important. These people are really going through things, and then their kid is about to commit suicide, or either they tried, or are they planning and stuff like that. And a suicidal person will plan. So when they tell me that the child is planning it, I'm like, uh-oh.
You're further down the road. It's not just talk.
No, that means you're really gonna do it.
Well, yeah, it's not like you pack in your bag and you're leaving home. This is yeah. So you don't have fear of death anymore, though, right?
No.
It's so cool. Yep. That'll help so many people, that alone, that message that we are not alone, and we don't really die. We go to another aspect of ourselves.
Yeah.
That's so powerful. Well, thank you, Chris, so much. I'm so glad we could do this. And thank you for helping me with my waving video.
Oh.
You were a superstar.
I was like, wait, that's not awkward to just wave in the video.
Did you see it?
I seen the video. I loved everybody's. It looked beautiful.
Yeah, it was fun. Really fun. Yeah. Well, anyway, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you next weekend. It starts a week from today. And I look forward to hearing your story again and in its entirety. So thank you so much, Chris. Thank you for what you do. Bless you. Bless what you're doing.
Thank you, Kathy.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, we're going to sign off now. Thank you, dear. Bye-bye.